Heyo everybody, this is Ham the Guinness Gamer here, bringing you episode 2 of our Civilization 6 Complete Beginner's Guide. Now, getting straight into it, we are going to need to spend the next couple of turns just mostly skipping through uh, in order to let our research tick down for animal husbandry, as discussed before, in order to let our city grow a bit, and to let our scout produce. So the only thing I'll be doing the next couple of turns is sending my warrior out, as discussed before, circling the city just to explore a wee bit. So end turn, this should cycle through pretty quickly. As I said, just going to send this guy out. Each time you'll notice, animal husbandry just went down from 8 turns to 7 turns there. We're now 2 turns away from the city growing and 7 turns away from producing a scout. Just going to fire through. One thing I did mention in the last video but didn't fully expand upon was when I mentioned luxury resources. I said about them helping happiness in the city and therefore helping growth. If you click in here in the city, you'll see down here a section called amenities. Now at the minute, because our city is so young, we need very little amenities. Saying here we have 2 and we only need 1, so the status is content right now of the city. Ultimately, as our city grows, and I'll show this next turn, because we're about to grow in 1 turn, but right now we need 1. We have 2 amenities. These are both coming from entertainment. Now your capital city starts with this building called the Palace, and that's the only city that has that. And it's like gives your capital city a wee boost up at the start. If you look at this, city centre palace, it gives you an extra 2 production, an extra 5 gold, extra 2 science, extra 1 culture, and therefore just helps, particularly in the early game you're placing your first city. It just helps it grow a bit quicker, produce a wee bit quicker, gives you a bit of gold income. But as I say, this is the only city that has that. Now, what that also, your capital city also then has, is it has 2 amenities from entertainment because of that. The next cities that we produce won't have that, so ultimately your amenities come from, well, luxury, from all of these things. They can come from any of these things, but a lot of it, particularly in the early game, will come from luxury resources. And as what I touched on before, we have amber here available to us, and amber and spices, just so both of these will give a bit of a bit of amenities to our capital city. And ultimately, once we get to level 2, level 3, level 4, we'll need more amenities here. But the luxury resources will allow our city to grow more. I will jump more into amenities in the future, because a lot of these, there's a bit of complexity to this, like there is in a lot of portions of this game, but that's the basis of it in the end. That's all you need to know about right now. So as I say, I'm just going to cycle through these. So our city has just grown to level 2. So if I jump population 2, so if I jump back in here to show that, our food surplus is still 3 per turn, and the reason for that will be because we will be working another tile. Now what I want to do, I'm still not madly concerned about the production of the scout. I would rather grow the city as fast as possible, so I'm going to lock in the citizen for this 3 food tile as well. This is something that varies from game to game. You may be playing a game right now and you don't actually have 3 food tiles. In which case, if I didn't, I would be picking this quarry here for the 2 food and the 1 production. But thankfully, I have the 2 of them, so I'm gonna run on with that. And yes, this glitch will be showing again. But we're 2 and 8 right now. Once I hit next turn, it should update, and we should now be, what are we? We're 2 and 5. Okay. So again, another 5 turns and we'll get up another population. 4 turns will produce a scout, and 4 turns we'll unlock horses and unlock the ability to build some worker improvements. Now, I know I didn't mention workers at all in the last game, and that was deliberate. I will delve into them once we get into once we unlock animal husbandry here and produce the scout. The next thing I'm going to produce will be a worker. Now, Oh, well, there's the Barbarians that I mentioned before. So a lot's happening this turn. Nothing happened 4 turns in a row. Right, so we've just unlocked Animal Husbandry, which, as I say, unlocks horses on the map. Now, if you see here, this wasn't here last turn. So we've, as mentioned in the last video, we've unlocked horses, and now we can see horses in the map. And as luck would have it, we have access to horses within the range of our capital city. The Barbarians have shown up. These are Barbarians, I mentioned them in the last episode. And these are AI computer controlled enemies, but they're enemies to every civ in the game, so they're just really a nuisance. What they do is they run out. This is a scout that's come out and has found our city. And now that he's found us, and this is what the red exclamation mark means, is they have spotted your city. So they are going to run back. Barbarians have camps throughout the map, and he's going to run back to the camp, and he's going to tell his military units that we are here. And if he gets back to the camp, he is going, as I say, he's going to tell the military units, and then they're going to come and potentially attack us. Now, as it happens, he has showed up around the same time that the same turn that our scout has been created. Our warrior's a bit too far away to get to him. I'm going to try and bring him back to get to him anyway, but I am going to hit him with our scout. I'm going to see if I can kill this guy. If you have the capability, I would kill the scout as soon as possible, because if they get away, which chances are he is going to get away here, as I say, he'll call reinforcements, he'll go to the camp, and then he'll bring down the military towards our city, and that's not something we want to have to deal with too early. But often you end up, they always find you, and they always come at you. So if you see there, when I just attacked them, it's just a simple left click, right click attack. You can only attack, each unit can only attack once per turn. What I did there, it showed that I did 44 damage to them, and I took much less damage than that. What's my health now? I took 23 damage. If you look down here in the right hand corner, my health 77 out of 100. Whereas if you click on theirs, it should tell me. Well, yeah, you can just tell by their health bar there that they're low. They're probably about 10 or less than 10 out of 100. So I've hit them once. They are going to run away now, but I'm going to see if I can try and hit them again before they reach their camp. The other thing then that happened this turn was, yes, we got our animal husbandry research, so we need to choose new research. Now again, as discussed before, what you're choosing here does depend on where your city's situated. I am going to go for mining because we have we have a quarry here that we can upgrade with mining. So I'm going to go for that. Pottery is sometimes a good one because it allows you to build one of your first buildings in your city, and that's a building that gives you food and housing, which is an element I haven't discussed yet, but I'll get there in time. But the food, you build a building in your city. Say you build this granary, that gives you an extra food per turn just for having it. So it's nothing to do with citizens working tiles or anything. It's just like just a +1 food per turn. So it's a kind of building that you actually build in every city. A granary. Not all buildings get built in every city, but a granary is pretty good for all of them because obviously the more growth the better. So I'll probably go for pottery and try and build a granary after I do mining, but for now I'm going to select mine, as I say, so that I can upgrade this quarry tile. Now again, our production of the scout there, I sent him out attacking, so we need to choose more production in our city. What I'm going to produce this time is a builder. Now, I haven't mentioned builders before, but they're one of the key units in the game. And what they are, they're similar to the settler in that they're a completely civilian unit, so they cannot attack. If an enemy attacks them, even the likes of this scout here for the barbarian, if he attacks him, he will just take him. There's no fighting, even though that's a weak scout, he would still take him. Now, it'll be 17 turns before we actually have this builder, but when I get the builder, he is the guy that upgrades these tiles. So, we're attacking this from several different directions, but ultimately all we're trying to do is upgrade this city and upgrade the tiles that we're working on. So we are right now, we're as I say, researching mining, and that will enable us to build an upgrade on this stone resource. The upgrade's is called the quarry. Now, to be able, so that'll allow us to build it, but to actually build it, we need the builder, and he's the one that comes along and he upgrades this. He'll build a quarry on it. I'll also probably get him to build a farm on this wheat resource, and we'll see what else. I'll probably get him to build a pasture on this cattle. Now, workers have a set number of charges, or builders, sorry, have a set number of charges. They were called workers in previous Civilization games, but they have a set number of charges. The default is 3. So when I get this one builder built, I'll build a quarry on this stone. I'll probably build a farm on this wheat, and I'll build a pasture on this cattle, and then that worker will be fully used, and I'll have to make another to upgrade any more tiles. Ultimately I'd like to upgrade this rice resource, upgrade the spices resource. As you see here, the spices we need, that red right in there saying requires irrigation. Irrigation is a research, and we'll need it, and it's slightly further on, so it won't be one of the first ones upgraded, but I will certainly upgrade it pretty soon. So I am going to go on through here in the next turn. Going to watch this scout run away from me, and I'm gonna struggle to catch him. Where he is running is he is going, just based on the direction that he is running to, I know where the camp is going to be, so I'm going to follow him, and it's going to show the camp on the map, and you'll see what I'm talking about with Barbarians. And I am going to keep chasing him in the hope that I'll get to kill him, but I know I won't. He's probably one turn away from getting to the camp now. Oh, did he make a mistake there? So I'm going to run up here. I'm going to see if I can surround him. Once I get my guys close to him, well, close as in one tile away from him, it slows down how far he can run, so I might just about be able to kill him here. We'll see, it depends where his camp is.
It is not wisdom, but authority
so
that makes a law.
One thing that I haven't discussed yet is civics and culture. So civics works the same way as research. It's like a separate research tree. It's not research, but it's the best way to describe it. And instead of using the science per turn to research, you use your culture per turn. So that's it up here in the top left hand corner. Again, each of your cities produces culture, just like each of your cities produces science and gold and production. But what these civics are, it's going to always be up here in the left hand corner beside your research bar. And this is the purple one. What they are is ultimately it's a separate tree from research, but it works very much the same way. That's the whole tree there. What they do, we've just unlocked the first one, which is code of laws. First one's always code of laws, so that's why we haven't chosen that. But now we're getting a choice between which of the next two to pick. Now, civics, before you can choose what one to do, kind of need to know what game plan you have, which is difficult to choose when you haven't played this game before. Ultimately, I often go for foreign trade. What foreign trade does is it unlocks a couple of capabilities. The main one is it allows you to build merchants on trade routes, and trade routes are very important. Fairly obviously, it's a very important way of getting gold. So I'm going to go for that. I will discuss civics in greater detail in the future once we progress to a stage in the game where it's easier to describe. But we'll get there in time. We'll get there. For now, where are we? Now that we have unlocked our first civic, it unlocks the ability, which is shown down here in the bottom right hand corner, to choose policies. Now this is government policies. It's another section of the game with a bit of complexity to it. Early on though, we only have a very reduced amount of policies to choose. But as you get further through the game, this whole window will be full and more for different things you can choose, different policies you can choose. Right now, the ones I would expect, considering we're about to have a battle with some barbarians, I would go for this discipline. If you just read what it says, they're +5 combat strength, unit combat strength when fighting barbarians, which in this early game +5 is huge. It's fairly big, because our general strength's quite low. Um, so that's big. The other one here is the policies are split here into colors. We can only see two right now out of the four options, but it's fairly self-explanatory. The red ones, military policies, you can only choose military ones, so we had the choice of these two for this military policy, and then we've got the choice of these two for this economic policy, the yellowy ones. So what I'm going to go is +1 production in all cities. Sometimes this one, God King's quite good if you're going to go for a religious victory, which I'll discuss in greater detail down the line, but it gives you an extra faith per turn in the capital. Also, the extra gold per turn is always useful. But if you're going down the religious route, this is the one you would choose because it gets you that extra faith early on. If you look up at my faith right now, I've got 0 faith overall, and I've got 0 faith per turn. So if you were choosing that, that's obviously a massive increase from 0 to 1, and you would be firing that in as early as possible, and you would be trying to get your faith per turn as high as possible to push towards religion. But again, I will religious victory. But again, I will discuss that in greater detail down the line. So I'll confirm these two policies. What this one, before I confirm, this urban planning one that I've chosen, then +1 production in all cities. That's huge, particularly if you look at my city here. Just select accept that. My city, Munich, I only have 6 production. Well, I had 5, so that +1 is a significant increase. So now, if you remember, my builder was 17 turns, and now he's 6 turns. Now, that's not just because of that policy. I see here in one of the last couple of turns, we have increased again. And now, this is a big boy here. This is why our border growth increased to this one. 4 food and 2 production. That's huge. Spices is a nice tile to have, particularly in the early game. So that is very noticeable. If you look here as well, border growth, 5 turns until border growth. So the next one we're going to choose is the horses, and it'll be a pretty nice tile to have as well. So our city's starting off quite good. It's got some good tiles near it, and it's growing quite quick. Another 3 turns and we'll be 4 population. So that is flying. Last thing we need to do this turn then is try to find these barbarians. Oh, there we go. Oh, well, that was a mistake by him. So I was looking at this. He, as I said earlier, he generally would run to their camp, but he has managed to get himself into a corner. I'm presuming their camp is maybe up here somewhere, in part of this map that we haven't explored yet, and he has made a big boob in how he was running to it because he has now got himself stuck. I'm going to go into the next turn. The only place he can move is there, or else attack me, but if he attacked me he would have died. So he's moved there, and I'm going to kill him here with my warrior, which is delightful because it means he never got back to the camp, and he never warned his buddies of where our city is, so they aren't going to come and attack us, thankfully. If I run around here, I would expect to see their camp, but I have not. Instead, we have discovered first of the other civilizations, and this is Philip, I believe, Philip II of Spain. Yeah, Philip II up there. Now, every time you meet a new civ, it'll give you these 2 options. They do make a difference in that once you go, it sort of starts your friendship or enemyship off on a certain foot. I went for the second one there, and the reason is that ultimately I think I'm going to be at war with this guy, and I don't want to lead him on. I don't want him to think that we're going to be friends, because we're not. We'll never be friends. I know the reason why I'm making that decision so early is that if his scout is already coming across my scout this early, that means his capital isn't far away. If you look at that, I've traversed maybe, I don't know, 10, 12 tiles, something like that, to get from there to there. If he's done the same, you know, that means his capital city is up here somewhere, something like that, or maybe down here. I'll discover it in time. But it's too close for comfort. Ultimately, I'm pretty certain I'm going to end up at war with him, um, which will be fun. What I'm going to do though is I am going to tell my guys to heal here. So if you look at this wee heart, if you look at both my health bars, they're both missing a wee bit of health from killing that barbarian. So I'm going to heal both those guys. I'm going to heal my warrior. I'm going to heal my scout. And might take the warrior 1 turn to fully heal. Might take a scout 2 turns to fully heal. But generally, it goes without saying, keep them healed when you can.
Who deserves more credit than the wife of a coal miner?
And then they'll be more effective in combat. So we have unlocked mining. That's fantastic. I'm going to click on this, and where are we going to go for now? As I said earlier, yep, I'm going to go for pottery. So now we're only 6 turns away from pottery. If you remember earlier, it was 8 turns. And before that, I think I probably started at 10 turns. Reason for this is our science per turn is increasing. The reason why our science per turn is increasing is because our city is growing. So the 4 population isn't just increasing where your citizens work here, so and therefore increasing food and increasing production. It's also increasing our science, and so in general, it's the best thing you can do is increase your city population, because as I say, it'll increase your production, it'll increase your gold, it'll increase your growth, it'll increase your science, and it'll increase your culture as well. So that's why the early game growth is so important, and that's why I'm focusing on uh, food in these early turns for our capital. Now, what's Philip done here? He's sent a delegation to our city. What he's doing is he's just sending a group of units. You don't actually see them on the map, but he's sending a delegation to kind of open diplomacy with me. If I let him in, it allows him to see where our capital is. So I'm going to tell him we're not open to visitors at this time. Now, he may take that poorly, but as I say, I don't really care, because ultimately we are going to end up at war. He doesn't know that yet, but I know it. And I'm going to kick his ass. But for now, I'm going to leave it there. I think we've covered enough for the learning and for this length of video. Appreciate that you've taken the time to watch this video, and if you could do the needful, if you could like and subscribe if you have a minute, and I hope you've enjoyed it, and I will see you at the next one. Thank you.